quite literally might be the best piece of photojournalism of our generation. And I wish I was exaggerating. I'm not. It needs to be studied. It needs to be in every college, like art appreciation, journalism, photography class. And I have to talk about it. So as someone with classical training in both journalism, photography, a love for photojournalism, like it is literally my favorite style of photography, this quite literally made my heart so happy. One, that the whole world is talking about it and we can have this conversation, but two, that this is just such a good representation of why AI is not taking over the photo industry, because, oh my God, you could not have done this any more beautifully / with anything other than an amazing photojournalist, photographer, and camera. Also, I think he shot these bad boys on a Hasselblad. I saw that on another post. I didn't confirm it, but that just makes it even better, because it's just, I don't know. It's just artistic and it's amazing. If you don't know what the hell I'm talking about, let me just explain. So Vanity Fair has slowly released teaser pieces to an article that will be in their issue in January that I think they're calling like the Eye of the Hurricane to Trump 2.0 or something like that. We'll look that up in a second. But they have like slowly released quotes from the chief of staff, but also portraits and photos of a lot of the people that like are in Trump's kind of, circle. So we have Caroline Leavitt, we have Marco Rubio, we have Stephen Miller, possibly my personal favorite, JD Vance. And by favorite, I mean not him, the pictures. And this is what Vanity Fair wrote when they published kind of the final teaser for this piece. On the Thursday morning after Congress ended the longest government shutdown in American history, I went to the White House. Writes Vanity Fair global editorial director sorry. 9 hours later, I left with a giant shopping bag filled with presidential M&Ms featuring Donald Trump's signature, a portfolio of photography, and an appreciation that this government, this relentless, clamorous, smash and grab government that is changing so much about the country and the world, is run by about a half dozen people. And they had agreed to spend the day with Vanity Fair. I mean, the writing, the interview, the structure, the like it's all so damn good. But honestly, what we're here to talk about right now is the photography. I had never heard of Christopher Anderson prior to these photos, and I probably should have, as someone who loves photography, as someone who loves photojournalism. I probably should have. I hadn't. He is now my personal favorite photographer, hands down. And while we're kind of reading what the people involved in this piece has written about the piece, before we really get into analyzing the photos, Christopher Anderson posted some of the photos on his own Instagram this morning and wrote this: "If I'm honest, I was hesitant to accept the assignment from Vanity Fair magazine to photograph the Trump administration. I assumed, incorrectly, that I was being asked to wear my celebrity photographer hat. My journalistic sensibility just would not be comfortable portraying politicians the way celebrity photographers have in similar portfolios of past administration. Not this subject, not this context." To my surprise, Global Creative Director Jennifer Pastor assured me that this was not the job. The job was to bring my sensibility as a journalist and see the subject with a clear eye rather than that of a celebrity photographer. The job was not to make anyone look good or bad. My mission was to show up and photograph honestly and thoughtfully. Jennifer made the case to me that I would have this freedom and that my DNA as a journalist was the most important qualification. It would be an enormous challenge and opportunity, and I also saw it as an immense responsibility. The internet seems shocked by the choice to not retouch any blemishes or wrinkles. It's shocking to me that the world expects reality to be removed from a picture. My intention is not mockery or cheap shots. I'd like to think I'm a stone-faced but critical observer. Celebrity photos are celebrity photos. Politicians are not celebrities. Let's not mix things up. So earlier I said that photojournalism is one of my favorite forms of photography, and it's because of how real it is. And it takes a really, truly talented person to convey a message, a feel, an environment, a thought, a whatever through a photo in composition, lighting, editing, all the things. I think a lot of times, like, obviously we have like fast news cycles now. And so a lot of times like photojournalism ends up just being photos of an event or photos of like a news thing, when really photojournalism should tell a freaking story. And these tell a freaking story. So this is why it's got my antennas all excited. We're actually going to look at the post that Vanity Fair put up, and like I'm going to kind of break down why these photos are so amazing. Now, there are 100,000 million takes on these photos on the internet, on Threads, on Instagram, on TikTok. So I'm not going to hit on every single thing that makes each photo amazing, but I am going to try and like encompass what the story is trying to tell and like what these photos do and what they don't do. So first of all, we have to talk about the editing of these photos. It is very cold. It is very cool. It is very undersaturated. Very much so, just the editing and the colors give off this powerful, not powerful vibe. And I think that is just like, oh my God, chef's kiss. And as Christopher Anderson said in his post, like he was not trying to make them look good or bad. And here's what he has done as a photojournalist. He has went into the White House. He's went to the White House. He has went with the reporter to the White House, like whatever. And he has made observations himself, right? Now, are these observations through the lens of his own bias? Absolutely. Absolutely. I can tell you right now that I wouldn't photograph the Trump administration the same way that someone else would, right? It's absolutely got bias. The interview absolutely has bias. Journalism is not unbiased. Like, that's just not how this works. And what he has done is he's went into the White House and he himself has gotten a feeling. He himself is like, oh, this is what this feels. And I know how to articulate that in photos. And that is why he chose certain poses, certain frames, certain lighting, certain editing. Obviously not to put words in his mouth, but that's why. So these first two images alone, which odds are will be on like a split page, cover page for the article when it comes out in the magazine, are just brilliant. The fact that the writer of the article says that the administration is basically being run by half a dozen people, and then those people are the people that are here, and this is how we chose to frame them, is amazing. And I'm going to highlight this comment right here on the Vanity Fair post because everybody's like, I love how intentionally shitty these photos are. I saw a lot of commentary around like how intentionally bad. They're not intentionally bad. They are amazing photos. They are amazing photojournalism photos. They are specifically designed to tell a specific story. They are not bad photos. They are just capturing reality. And I think that's the part that isn't quite clicking with people. I mean, I'd say this person right here really appreciates it. I'm not saying anything bad about them, but I see that a lot with people saying like these are intentionally bad. They are intentionally realistic and intentionally trying to serve a purpose of a story. Like if this photographer was trying to go into the White House and say, I only want to make these people look really good, right? That's my whole mission. He would have made them pose. He would have, had them like smiling and looking a certain way. But what it feels to me like is that he told them to be natural, right? He told them to look natural. And this is what you get. Because these three people we see on TV a lot, and this seems to be the look that they're giving on TV too. Like it's not unnatural. I want to point out something in this photo. So like if you can see right here, it's a little bit crooked. Like the line on the wall here, shows you that like this photo is a little bit crooked. And read into that what you will. These shots of the mass amounts of his own merchandise that Trump and the administration has all over the office perfectly portray what it's likely like in that office. You either subscribe to having the Trump hats and having the MAGA material and having all of this stuff, or you don't work here. This is what this White House is. This is what this administration is. It is a coat rack full of Make America Great Again hats and insignia and all the things, and we captured it with these photos. This photo may be one that a lot of people might look over, but it is so well thought out. I would love to know how long Christopher Anderson had, like to make these photos, especially like the not necessarily like the portraits, like the photos like this, because the framing, the statue of him apparently doing the thing he did after he got shot next to an HP printer, next to like an old gold plate with Fox News playing above it. I mean, it's just amazing. This just feels very like old and stuffy, and also kind of like weird, because like, why is there a statue next to the printer? And then again, the colors are very like cool and not warm and kind of old school. And oh my God, it's just, again, like amazing. Not only do we have a signed photo from Donald Trump to Putin, which is a whole thing itself, but it's like not even in a frame. And that speaks volumes, because like it not being in a frame is basically just saying like everything here is disheveled and it's just not as it should be. And we get into the portraits, and oh my God, this is my favorite. So Christopher Anderson, after I did find out about him and I went and looked at what he does, he very commonly takes really, really close up portraits of his subjects, unedited and with wrinkles and flaws and everything else. And so these are not abnormal. However, what they do, because they are full frontal face photos, full centered, not at all giving angles or changing the lighting or anything like that. They are like in the moment, in the face portraits, is that they highlight everything about these people, from their personality to their age to whatever. So looking at Susie Wiles, who is the White House Chief of Staff, and they're calling her the enforcer. And like this photo is like, I don't know, she looks like an old, mean substitute teacher, like that's what she looks like to me. And then they're calling her the enforcer and quoting her there. But these portraits where they're standing on the wall, they're probably my favorite because of all of them, because they are intentionally positioning these people as small, as the White House and the rooms they're in being like cold and dark, and kind of antiquated. And this one, there's a man in the background in this closet that we didn't edit out, which I love. It's just very telling, right? The only time we're going to shove a subject up against the wall is to tell a story, is to have that be part of the story. And that's exactly what this is. If this was a portrait that wasn't trying to tell a story, if this was like, okay, we're trying to just like get portraits of Susie Wiles, she would have been closer to the camera. There would have been a blurry background. She would have been smiling. She would have been, cropped so that we weren't seeing her whole body, because that is portraiture. But that's not what was going on here. That is absolutely journalism and storytelling, and leaving kind of everything as is to show us what environment it is like here in the West Wing of the White House. J.D. Vance, again, one of my faves. And I can't help but think that maybe, just maybe, we were trying really hard to get a close-up of the eyeliner. I don't know. But calling him the heir apparent, just magical. And then this photo, he's, again, up against a wall, shadows popping, old thermostats and dials next to him, things on the right and the left not edited out, but also not there to give like depth of field. It's giving, again, cold, quiet. Like I envision this room as like quiet and cold and almost like hard to be in, showing like the baseboard broken at the bottom and like not having that edited out. And again, the full body up against the wall gives the perception that he's small. Marco Rubio. First of all, I think this is the most portrait of all of them, because he literally looks like he's like, God, I've sold my soul for this job and here I am. But in addition to that, we've got, again, this photo that, again, gives that like cold, dark, old kind of thing where we didn't like edit, like there's a crocodile's head, you know what I mean? Like everything is just very real and in the moment and showing you everything that you need to know. And he looks pensive. He looks like, oh, you know, I don't know if I know what I'm doing kind of thing in that one. There's another one of him where he's like standing and the photo is crooked and he looks like I don't know what he looks like he's doing, but it's amazing too. Stephen Miller, again, just 10 out of 10 for this portrait. The fact that half of his face is light and half is dark, and he's got that scowl and like, oh my gosh, it just tells exactly who he is. Like we can scroll down through here and kind of see what people get, you know, from these photos and like what their, you know, reaction to them is. The zealot, right? Like it's giving us this, and then this photo. Oh my gosh. Again, with the cold, quiet editing of the coloring, but again, we have darkness on one side of his face, light on the other side of his face, which you can interpret as however you want to, but you know, we'd get like two-faced or, you know, different angles, that kind of thing. But the fact that he's just like sitting on a couch, pensive, and with his like suit disheveled, and you know, his little belly hanging out is a choice, and it was a choice that was made intentionally, and I 100% approve. This is the photo heard around the world. This is the one that everybody's like, oh my God, I cannot believe that Vanity Fair, one, published that, two, that people are making fun of her appearance, blah, 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 right? But this speaks so much volume, it's not funny. So if we scroll over to her little like piece here, they call her the mouthpiece. And then in this, her mouth is kind of like front and center of the portrait. And there are lip filler holes along the top of her lip. And this just highlights the mouthpiece part. I feel like this speaks so much to what we're looking at here. Like, the mouthpiece's mouth is not real. The mouthpiece's mouth is enhanced, is made to look better than it is. And, you know, I'm not making a value judgment there because I don't care whether somebody has thin lips or big lips or whatever, but in her opinion, I'm sure it's made to look better than it is. And that is so freaking telling. The contour on the nose, the eyes, like everything is just amazing. And this photo, again, amazing. So the fact that the lampshades are disheveled, like they don't match, right? A normal portrait of someone, they would have removed stuff from behind her head so that she didn't look like she had stuff growing from behind her head. There's cords in the background. There's like a butt crease in the seat. This blanket is not completely smooth. Like, so much about this says this room, this administration, this person is disheveled, not operating at 100%, is not put together. And we love that. We love that a photo can say so much without saying a damn word. I was going to say, I don't actually know who this little feller is, but this photo tells me everything I need to know. So there's that. This one too. Like, I don't even know what to say to that one. This guy, this is an interesting photo. It appears that he's like walking with a cane, but he's not. It's the back of a chair. Again, just the cables and everything that would normally not be in portrait photography, which again, these are not portraits. These are photojournalism pieces. The dark editing, the kind of making him look small in the frame, this one right here. So mirrors can be used in art in general to kind of mirror like things that we want to highlight without actually like highlighting them in the original photo, you know, or in the like main subject of the photo. And this one, again, makes him look small, right? Like there's so much mirror above his head. And it's just glorious. This is the one of Marco Rubio that I mentioned. The photo's crooked. Like, what is he doing? He looks tiny. So much editorial, you know, awesomeness there. Again, with the Trump insignia and kind of showing that like, this is just a shrine to this man. Amazing. This also feels very strategic in getting a guard at the White House, a service member, kind of off their normal footing, off their normal structured, like put togetherness, again, to kind of convey this, like, this is nothing about this administration is put together. This photo here is one that I saw a lot of people say, like, okay, Vance is on both sides of the page, and is that like trying to portray him as two-faced? And I say yes. I say this was intentional. Everything about this piece was intentional. And so we can't assume that that wasn't intentional. You know, the cracks in the door, guys, this is just literally probably one of the best pieces of photojournalism I have seen in my lifetime, and absolutely will be studied, absolutely will be emulated, and props to Vanity Fair for taking this risk. They will never be invited back during this administration, and they know that, but they got what they needed. And now these pictures in this article are going to be out there for everybody to see forever, and they tell the story that needs to be told. So like if we look back at Christopher Anderson's like general posts and pictures, like you can tell this is his MO. Like he is telling a story with every freaking photo, as you should, honestly. Like as a photographer, that's what we should do. Photography, videography, all of it needs to tell stories, right? Talk about freaking powerful. This photo of probably what is like a cab driver or a taxi driver with a photo of his son, maybe. Holy moly at the stories. George Clooney in Esquire, Martin Scorsese, just story after story after portrait after story. And every last one of them says something. And the fact that this man could walk into this administration and perfectly probably encapsulate what it felt like to be in there and what these people felt like and what their personalities felt like. And all of that is just something to be admired. For sure. I know that this is just a rambly video, but I felt like I had to get it out. I felt like it needed to be something that I talked about because this is like the intersection of things I like to talk about, you know? Like the intersection of like real world and photos and photojournalism and all the things. And oh my gosh, chef's kiss. No. Also, if you care to argue about politics in my comments, please just save yourself the time. I'm going to delete them all. And that's not what we're doing here. So, yeah. Enjoy. Bye.